Hi, my name is Danielle and I'm one half of the Our Time of the Month duo. We typically film videos about beauty, lifestyle, and women's health, but today I'm coming at you alone because I wanted to talk to you about a rather large purchase that I made at the end of 2019, and that is my Nordictrack S15i spin bike. Little did I know when I purchased this bike right before the new year that we would be facing a worldwide pandemic. I know that a lot of people are investigating various spin bikes right now because most of us are still trying to stay safe at home, and whether that is a Nordictrack or a Peloton or an Echelon or a Schwinn, I wanted to share with you my thoughts and my review on my particular bike, the reasons that I bought it, any issues that I've had, final thoughts. I'm gonna break everything down cost-wise for you and share whether or not I think that it was a good investment. Caitlin and I usually set intentions versus resolutions, and one of my intentions was to move my body more in 2020, to just take better care of myself. I really haven't had a very healthy relationship with exercise in quite a few years, and I really wanted to get back to that, not only for my physical health, but also my mental health. I knew that I did not want a gym membership. I am not someone who's ever enjoyed going to the gym. I am what you would call a hashtag slug life. I want to do the bare minimum, aka nothing, and still eat what I want and not gain weight, because that's what I did for 25 years. And then I turned 25 and my metabolism was like, bye, see you later, never. And so I gained weight. I just felt very uncomfortable in my skin. I felt uncomfortable showing any part of my body for fear that someone might actually die if they saw my flabby cellulite covered legs. I know that's irrational, but as bad as I was feeling about that, the thought of going to a gym and working out in front of other people who would absolutely be looking at me really terrified me, and it just was never something that I felt passionate about. I have signed up for multiple gym memberships and it's never really gone in my favor, so I thought I'm not going to mess around with that. So I was going from a sedentary lifestyle to trying to find something that I actually enjoyed. I love walking, I love going for walks, but in the dead of winter, it's kind of hard to do. I had seen so many people jumping on the Peloton bandwagon, and I was like, you know what? I did a little bit of research. $2,500 or thereabouts just was completely out of my budget. I just couldn't see the value in spending that kind of money on something that I wasn't even sure if I was gonna like. Then I started seeing advertisements for a very comparable version of the Peloton, which was the Nordictrack S15i or the S22i. And I did a little bit of research. I was at a brewery with my husband and he was like, you know what, just pull the trigger, just buy the bike, and all you have to do is tell yourself that you'll use it X amount of times a week and it will pay for itself at the end of that. And I was like, you know what, you're totally right. Gym memberships in my area are kind of expensive. I wasn't gonna do that anyways. If I did wanna join a spin studio, I'm looking at least $120 or $140 a month, which in my opinion was astronomical, especially if I wasn't sure whether or not I would be consistent, which in the past I have not been, admittedly. So I told myself then and there I wasn't going to pull the trigger just yet. I was going to do some price shopping and some comparison shopping, and that's exactly what I did. I mostly compared the Nordictrack varieties versus Peloton because they seem to be most neck and neck. And the more research that I did, the more I kept leaning toward the side of Nordictrack. I also didn't know anyone that had it, so I thought, okay, you know, maybe I'll find something really great here and I can spread the word about a more affordable option. The primary reasons that I went with the Nordictrack were that it was cheaper. I did not have to buy special spin shoes to clip into the pedals, which I liked. I wasn't ready to invest more in accessories for something that I wasn't sure whether or not I would even enjoy. Another really big reason I went with the Nordictrack was because it had automatic features for incline, decline, and resistance. I wanted to use the bike mostly for more outdoor classes, wilderness classes. They had a lot of different courses that were offered through the mountains or various national parks, and I just thought I would get so much more out of that versus the mostly studio courses that the Peloton really focuses on. That's what you're seeing a lot of. I think now maybe they have more off-road courses, but that wasn't the case when I signed up for it. I know that the big red knob on the Peloton is for your resistance. You can crank it one way to increase the resistance or the other way to decrease it. With the Nordictrack, the resistance was altered by the trainer on the screen, And if you're going up a climb, up a mountain in a national park, and the incline of the road is 3%, the bike would raise up and it would also increase your resistance automatically. You did not have to do anything manually. And I felt like I'm such a newbie. I know nothing about spinning. It's a friggin' miracle that I'm even gonna get on this thing in the beginning. And so I needed it to do as much of the work for me as possible. So those were the main reasons that I went with the Nordictrack. Again, I didn't know anyone who had one, so I couldn't really ask questions. They were just starting to have more of a social media presence with that particular line of bikes. In the past, everything Nordictrack that I had seen was mostly treadmill focused or rower machines, which I just really wasn't interested in at the time. After I did that comparison shopping, I finally decided to pull the trigger on the S15i. And the reason I went with that one versus the S22, the only difference is the size of the screen that's in front of you. And I felt like I don't need this huge television screen in front of my face as I'm riding. I'm not doing it to watch something. I am in a way because I'm following the trainer, but I didn't need it to be bigger. I think it was a $500 difference, and I was like, you know what? I'm already spending a lot of money for this piece of equipment, and I don't need to sink even more into it without knowing whether or not it's going to be the exercise regimen of my dreams. I did get it at $14.99, which I think was $100 off. And I think they were just running a sale because it was around the time of New Year's and everybody's setting New Year's resolutions and intentions. When I bought my bike, I got 2 years of free iFit courses, and iFit courses are basically the live or pre-recorded classes that you have access to on your iPad, your computer, your bike, your phone, anything. You can kind of work out anywhere with these classes. It's more than just cycling. They have a lot of strength training classes. There's yoga, there's weightlifting, HIIT. There's a bunch of different stuff that they offer. I had access to all of that free for 2 years when I bought my bike at the time. Again, I think that was a really special deal that they were offering. I'm not sure what the deal is right now, but it could be worth even just calling and asking like, hey, I see the bike is X dollars and the iFit courses are this many dollars. Is there anything that you could do to kind of cut a deal? I think it's worth the ask. It is such a big investment. I did have to pay for the delivery and assembly. Actually, no, delivery was free, but the assembly was, I think, $200. They didn't give me an option at the time to not assemble the bike. I know that now because of COVID, that has since changed. So you can order the bike and then put it together yourself. I ordered the bike, it was here, it was delivered maybe a week later, so it was really quick delivery. The staff that delivered and assembled the bike were perfectly kind. They didn't leave my house a wreck. I had the perfect size spot next to our couch in our basement that would fit the bike, and so we do store it in our basement. I'm going to insert some footage of what my area looks like around the bike, and also so you can kind of gauge the size. Everything was set up. I watched a couple of videos on how to measure myself so that the seat height was correct, and I took my first ride that day, and my vagina felt like it was just going to fall off and die. Like, it hurt so bad because I don't do this kind of stuff. Like, not only do I not exercise, I'm certainly not sitting on a hard spin seat and pedaling for my life for 30 plus minutes. So very quickly I realized this seat has to go. And I ordered one on Amazon that's much more cushy and it's wider because I do have a larger bottom half, and so that was the first thing that I did. I had to edit that immediately, and I think I talked about it on Instagram, and the Nordictrack social media team actually DM'd me and they were like, absolutely, get a different seat, Walmart sells them, take care of whatever you need to do to make it more comfortable. It was hard, it was very hard, I will say. I had no expectations. It is nothing like riding a bike. It is hard work, but you feel so great when you complete it. And the really cool part is, even though the resistance and the incline and the decline are set for you automatically, if that's too hard for you or not hard enough, which I've never had happen, you can back that stuff off. There are a variety of ways to do that. So the handlebars have controls. One side is incline, decline. One side is resistance, up and down. They're just buttons that are in your natural grip area for the handlebars that you can push up and down. You can also adjust it on the screen. So there are a variety of ways that you can kind of tap out or alter that if you so choose. I will say, for the first while, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, My whole undercarriage area was just sore. It was so sore. I couldn't ride back-to-back days because I physically could not handle the pain of sitting down on the seat. I tried putting a pillow underneath of me, which was a whole friggin' mess. Don't do that. Just wait until you feel like you can comfortably sit on it, even if you just do a recovery ride for like 20 minutes or something. So in the beginning, I was doing it maybe every 3 days or every 4 days, and then I was able to work up to every other day, and sometimes I could do it every day depending on my schedule. That's like one of my biggest takeaways is you just have to be patient. You have to find a seat that works for you. They make padded bike shorts, which I did not invest in because I just kind of powered through that. I feel like had I still been feeling that kind of intense pain, I would have absolutely used them in tandem with my padded seat. You can buy those on Amazon as well. Listen to your body, but it will get better. I was also dealing with a lot of tailbone pain, which was brand new for me. That led me to learn that I had not adjusted my height, the height of my seat properly, and where my handlebars sit in front of me. So you don't want to be too far down on them. You don't want to be too far up on them. Finding out your measurements is really crucial to ensuring that you have both a successful and a painless ride. I'm not gonna say painless because it's not comfortable. It shouldn't be uncomfortable. You shouldn't be like physically squirming in pain. So I would highly recommend watching YouTube videos or asking someone who's a cycling pro to help you kind of get fitted for your bike. So I was consistently using the bike. I started a program with one of my favorite trainers. Her name is Nicole Moline, and she does really beautiful rides. I think the first series that I did with her was in the Moab Desert, which was beautiful, and not only is she motivating, but the scenery around you is just gorgeous. Well, I won't say it felt like I was actually in the desert riding my bike. It was nice to look at that versus a really stale studio class that just isn't pretty to look at. Slowly but surely, Mike started using it and he was really loving it too. And so I felt really good that, you know, we were getting use out of this bike. And for the first time in years, I was actually enjoying exercise. And that was an entirely new concept to me. So I'd been riding for about 2 months, and all of a sudden the bike kind of stopped offering me incline, decline, and then resistance eventually. And I was like, okay, something must be wrong. Let me just try to update the system. So I updated my software and nothing changed. I would try to incline the bike. It didn't even start to make the noise like the motor wanted to incline. There was just nothing. It was silence. So I called customer service and I told them the issues that I was having. I will say, deciding who to call on the customer service side for Nordictrack is a real pain in the ass. What I've learned is that iFit creates the software and some of the equipment for the bike. They do that for a lot of exercise machines that I didn't even know about. Like a lot of stuff that would be in your local gym is created by iFit. Nordictrack is the brand of the bike. It's very hard to understand, but there's an iFit customer service and there's a Nordictrack customer service. I called Nordictrack customer service first, but for about 3 hours, I was back and forth with people from Nordictrack and iFit, and it was confusing as hell. And it was also just not very helpful because you could tell that these two very separate offices really didn't have a good communication structure between the two of them. I would hear one thing at this place, another thing at this place. This is what's wrong with your bike. No, this is what's wrong with your bike. And it was really confusing. I actually had several customer service representatives that were just plain out rude to me, and I am a really big believer in customer service. Like, I'm willing to give you multiple chances to make something right as long as you're kind to me. I'm a paying customer. This isn't a cheap item. I've paid a lot of money for it. I'm only 2 months into this brand new bike and it's already not working, so you could try to understand my frustration a little bit. I had another woman who told me that my warranty was expired, and I was like, excuse me, I have an extended warranty. My whole bike is under warranty for 2 years. I have a service warranty so that they can come out and fix any issues for free. And I was like just very confused as to why I kept being told that my bike was out of warranty. It had been out of warranty for 2 days. I'll come back to that in a minute. What I was told on that initial 3-hour phone call was that they thought my incline motor was bad and they were just gonna send me a new one that I would have to install myself. To which I replied, why am I paying for a service warranty and a technician warranty if you're not gonna send someone out here to fix the bike for me? Like, I don't want to take apart my bike and reassemble it. I don't really know a whole lot about electricity, okay? And I had to undo wires and rewire things, and it's just not something I was comfortable with. I also didn't feel like it was my responsibility. I paid a lot of money to make sure that you took care of the problems with your equipment. That wasn't an option. They were like, this is not how it's done. It's such an easy fix. It won't take you long at all. You just have to remove 3 screws. That was my favorite line that I heard the whole time. You just have to remove 3 screws. It's not a big deal. I'm not getting anywhere with the phone customer service folks. So I like take the online chat up. I was crying at this point because I was being told, it was like someone was taking each limb and dragging it in a different direction. I didn't know who to believe. I didn't know what was what. I wasn't being treated very kindly, and that just made me even more frustrated. Like, my feelings weren't valid. And I kept trying to explain to them. I was like, the bike is only 2 months old. I don't understand how my warranty can already be up. I'm looking at my paperwork right here. Finally got a really helpful gentleman on the online chat, and he was like, looks like here we have your date of purchase as December 28th, 2018 instead of December 28th, 2019. Your bike, I think, comes with a standard 1-year warranty. Like, ahead of the game, I purchased the 2-year one. And I was like, that's so weird. I bought the bike on December 28th, 2019. I have my email receipts. And he was like, that's fine, I totally believe you. You can just send that to me right now. So I took a screenshot, I sent it to him, and he said that in their system, in the iFit and Nordictrack systems, in the iFit system, it showed that my date of purchase was in fact that December 28th, 2018 date, and that would have made my warranty invalid. But once they fixed that, everything should have been fine, but it wasn't. I still petitioned for them to send me a technician because I didn't feel comfortable replacing the part myself. The part is not tiny, it's a motor, so it was about yay big. And when it arrived in the mail, Mike and I were like, we got this, we could totally do it, just 3 screws, whatever. Oh my God, it was hours of our night. We couldn't get certain parts apart. You needed so many more tools than just a screwdriver. You also had to make sure that you were wiring the correct wires to the other wires. So the bike has wires inside of it, and then the incline motor had wires, and we had to make sure they all matched up. And they were not the same color. So it wasn't just like red and green and green. So we called customer service again, and they were like, oh, well, instructions should have come with the motor. They didn't. Then they tried to send us a video that we could watch on YouTube, but it wasn't even for the bike that I had. It was for a treadmill, and that helped me 0. Finally, Mike and I get this incline motor together after friggin' 2 days, I think it took us. Turn on the bike, start to test it out, doesn't work. Not making any noises, not doing anything. No resistance, no incline. So we call again, and we're like, hi, you just sent us this incline motor, it doesn't work. And they were like, oh, I know what's wrong. It's the control board. We'll just send you out some wires that you can feed through the entire body of the bike and it'll work. And I was like, okay, I'm physically at my wit's end with these people. There's more to the customer service story, but I can't get into all of it. It's like PTSD, honestly. Their social media team reached out to me and it didn't really get me anywhere, I will say that. So he tells me it's control wires, and I'm like, cool, that's great. I'm so glad you think you know what it is. But again, I'm not an electrician. I'm not going to replace these wires myself. You can send someone to my house to do it. And they were like, I swear it's just a couple of unclipped wires and reclipped wires. And I was like, fine, whatever. So they send me the wires. It's supposed to be 2 wires. I get 1 in the mail. Weeks go by, I don't get another one. So I reach out to iFit and I'm like, hi, I'm still waiting on this order number, part number. I give them all the details, and they were like, yeah, that's back ordered and we're not exactly sure when it's gonna be in stock. And I was like, okay, so you mean to tell me that at this point I've been 2 months almost without a bike, without a working bike, because of mailing, and COVID just kicked in at this point, and so the world is falling apart. And I can understand at this point that they can't send someone to my house. I get that. However, I don't have the parts that I need to fix the bike, and it finally arrives. We plug it all in and the bike is still not working. And so I have just reached the conclusion that if I could lift this fucking bike up I would throw it outside. Like, I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't want it in my house anymore. I was so fed up. I was furious. I didn't feel like anybody was listening to me. They weren't hearing my complaints. And I wrote multiple emails. I called multiple times. I did the online chat multiple times. And I just was being drugged through the ringer, and I was so fed up and I was so sick of it. I did a deep dive on the internet of a main customer service representative email address that I could find. And I wrote a 2,000 word email. I explained everything, laid everything out with timestamps, how long I spent on the phone with people, the names of the CSRs that I spoke to, the various issues they told me were wrong with my bike and never were truly fixed. And I gave them an ultimatum, and I said, you have 3 options. You can either get this bike out of my house and give me a full refund of my money, and I'll take my business somewhere else. You can send a technician to my house to actually repair the bike and find out what's truly wrong with it, or you can send me an entirely new bike. Once I got that email in, I guess it finally landed in the right place, and I started getting, I started making waves, because from then on, I was receiving personalized phone calls, really responsive emails. I spoke to a man on the phone multiple times in one day, and he was so apologetic that I had been drugged through the ringer, and he said it was absolutely unacceptable. He was going to be transferring my case to the PR team, and within 24 hours, there was a new bike on order. It came to my house the following week, and I actually had the man assembled it for me. So I got a brand new bike. It took a really long time. It took a lot of frogs before I found my prince, kind of thing. And I will say it was very stressful. I found myself talking about the situation in therapy. It was all consuming because I had this huge piece of equipment in my basement that cost me $1,500+ that I couldn't even use. I'm sure you can imagine my frustration and then my pure joy when they were finally like, absolutely. And when they called me, he was like, we can do 3 things. We can give you a new one, we can take this one back and give you your money back, or we can send a tech. And I was like, you know what? We're just gonna go with option A. You're gonna give me a whole new bike. And that's what they did. I was allowed to keep my old one, although why would I want to? It's a piece of shit. It's like patio furniture right now because I need to have like bulk trash come pick it up. It was such a relief for me when finally it felt like I'd been heard and they were willing to rectify the situation. That's what I said, like, this whole time I just want someone to tell me, wow, Danielle, this must be really frustrating. Let me see what I can do to make it right. That's all I was asking for. I wasn't yelling at anybody. I didn't curse at anybody. I didn't fly off the handle. I was as calm, cool, and collected as I could be in the situation. And I felt like nobody was paying attention to what I'm telling them. So I was very grateful in the end for the gentleman that helped get everything sorted. I have had my new bike for about 2 months and it's been a dream. Everything that I ever wanted it to be. And I will say, it feels different. I think that my bike the first time was assembled incorrectly as well because it didn't feel very sturdy when I rode it. I mean, there should be some movement in your handlebars, but I felt like I was gonna roll the sucker. Now the bike feels so sturdy and there's like an additional part on the bike that I never had seen on the last one. And so I feel like not only was I given a dud bike, I think that it also was just assembled incorrectly. But ever since I've had it back, it's, knock on wood, been a dream. And it's everything that I thought it was in February and January. So I went through a lot of shit to kind of get to where I am now. And I wanted to be very brutally honest with you and let you know my experience because I feel like customer service is a really huge issue. And I will say that was something that I kept driving home. That was a point I kept driving home, was like, I know that we don't have a huge online following, but we're word of mouth, and word of mouth is what sells a lot. And I tried to explain that to them. Like, I know a lot of people right now who want to buy an exercise bike, and I find that I can't recommend a Nordictrack because your customer service is just ignorant. And once I kind of explained all of that, when I finally was given the perfect CSR, he completely understood me and assured me that he would be passing my message along and they would be doing retraining with certain people. And I thought, even if it's just blowing smoke up my ass, it felt nice to finally feel like someone was listening to me and that my feelings were valid. And sometimes that's all you want. So now that I'm solidly 2-ish months back into my routine, I'm riding more now than I was before. I am loving all of the classes. They recently added live classes, which I know Peloton has a lot of, and I couldn't be happier. I'm not in any way sponsored by Nordictrack. I don't have any kind of affiliation with them. This is just all my own honesty. I believe in second chances and even third chances if someone is willing to take ownership of the mistakes that they made. And like I said, it took a long time to get to where I am now, but I am grateful for it because I do love the bike. And for the first time in my life, I'm looking forward to exercising. And I've never said that. I don't know why that makes me feel emotional, but I think it was just the fact that I had finally found something that I liked and it was ripped away from me. It was like, cool, you're trying to make a positive change in your life, but actually we're just gonna crash and burn for 2 months. You're gonna be screwed and you're gonna be stressed and you're gonna be worried, like, is this $1,500 piece of metal just gonna be sitting in my basement as a fixture? So it did take an emotional toll in a way. It was like you finally get into a groove. You're facing and overcoming all of these fears that you've had about exercise. And then it's just like starting over from square one. It has 2 water bottle holders on it. It does have a stop button if you are like having an emergency and you need to stop the course immediately and you don't have time to like slow your pedaling down. It will stop for you with the brake. Like I talked about, it has the incline, decline, and resistance buttons. The screen is touch screen and you can search a variety of classes. Like I said, you can find live classes, you can find mountain bike classes, you can find road bike classes, you could do studio classes. It all depends on what you're looking for. They have different regimens for you. Right now I'm doing a weight loss, 15 class weight loss regimen with Nicole Moline, who I talked about before, and I'm really enjoying that even though it is a studio class. The other really cool thing is that it comes with 2 3-pound weights that kind of sit right in front of you in a little caddy. And for some of the classes, you're expected to use the weights while you're riding simultaneously. So that happened to me for the first time on Monday, where, you know, I tend not to take the studio classes. So when I took this one and she was like, okay, grab your weights, we're gonna do some bicep curls and overhead press and tricep extensions. I was like, okay. Also working on keeping my core engaged and pedaling while I'm doing all of this. It's a great full body workout. They have portions of the class where you get off the bike and you do various like squats or lunges or ab workouts. It all depends on what you want. And I will say that that has been a really nice feature because you can sort by level of intensity. You can sort by the area on your body, like your body area that you want to work on. You can sort by trainer. All of the instructors are very motivating. And not only that, but when you take certain rides, like I did a series with Jen Hudak, who I also really love. We did a ride through Turkey for a few weeks. And as you're riding through Turkey, she's giving you a history lesson on the agriculture of the area or the culture in the area. And you can actually see those monuments or those historical landmarks as you're riding. And I really like the historical component of it too, because I'm a nerd, but if that's your kind of thing, maybe you would like that as well. I don't know if Peloton really has that aspect. I don't know if they have a lot of mountain bike rides or like series that kind of take you from coast to coast, stuff like that. So you would have to do some research there. But even though I ran into all those issues, I still would recommend the bike. I still find it to be a really great workout. I'm still enjoying it very much. My husband uses it. I want to get it all out there. I want to be an open book for you and as best of a resource as I can be. I did reach out on Instagram and asked if you had any questions about the bike, and so I'm going to answer some of those now. Someone said, what would you change about it? Customer service. I will say I think it's the iFit customer service that needs help, because the Nordictrack people seem to be nice and helpful. But once you start dealing with iFit, who's like a huge conglomerate, it gets a little shisty, and I don't like it. I have to be honest. And I've aired my grievances with them. Other than that, like actually about the bike, I can't think of anything that I don't like. I know I mentioned in the beginning that a reason that I went with it was because I didn't need special shoes, and I wanted to hit on that again. You can wear whatever tennis shoes you want because the pedals have those toe cages that you just slide your foot into. You can buy pedals that have the clip-in feature if you want, like if you already have spin shoes and you just feel more comfortable that way. I like not having to clip in and out though. That's been really nice. What did you like versus the Peloton? I hit on that. Mostly price. Also, the Peloton community, I'm sure is lovely, but there are some Peloton people out there who ram it down my throat so hard that I can't get past that. I can't get past that. It's like they're drinking the Peloton Kool-Aid, and it's almost like a cult. I don't want to say a cult because I feel like someone's gonna come after me for that, but a girlfriend of ours told us, like, you have to join this Peloton Facebook group if for nothing else, just to laugh at some of the folks on there. Like, a lot of people are like me and they're like, hey, what courses should I take? Or I have this issue, what can I do? But some people are like, here's my Peloton coffee mugs, here's my Peloton room, here's my Peloton lights that I got, here's my Peloton outfit. I'm like, wow. Maybe a little obsessed with Peloton. And I feel like with Nordictrack, it's not like that at all. I mean, if they make accessories and stuff, I know nothing about it and I don't want to get involved. And I will say, when I got my Nordictrack, I got a few messages on Instagram that were like, why didn't you get a Peloton? I was like, I did not know that it was such a hot topic. Like, it's like picking a political side or something. I have no idea. How often do you use it? Does it make you motivated to work out? It varies. It depends on what series I'm doing. If I'm doing a really hard, like, mountain biking series, I'll try to do it every other day or 3 days a week. 3 days a week is like my minimum goal for myself, my personal goal. I try to go for 4 or 5 even if I can. It just depends on how I'm feeling. Yes, it makes me feel very motivated. I love that you can see your stats, you can see your cadence, your RPMs, your power, output. You can see where you line up against other people in the course, although I hide that because I don't feel like, I'm not riding for that reason. I'm not riding to beat Allison and Timothy. Like, I'm riding for myself, and I like that you can hide that feature because it can be kind of detrimental to your mental health, I think, if you're constantly comparing yourself to the leaderboard, you know? So I do hide that. But I do like reading the other stats, and that is motivational because you can see how you're improving along the way. It tells you how far you've gone as well, and it also tells you what your calorie burn is, although I will say it's not very accurate because I use my Apple Watch oftentimes, because that's taking it into account my heart rate, which is really what determines how many calories you're burning. So it's usually like 30 or 40 off, which isn't a huge deal. I just always go with my Apple Watch because it's monitoring my heart rate. But all of those things are motivational because you can see yourself improving, which is really great. And with the iFit program, you can find classes that you want to take either on your computer or on your phone, and you can add them to your schedule. And then your bike, once you log in, will know, like, hey, you wanted to take this course, would you still like to do that? It kind of prompts you with that, which is nice. Have you tried other bikes in person before buying, or was it all just internet research? I have tried the bikes at the gym, which I feel like are quite different than a traditional spin bike, but I haven't taken a spin class since I was in college, so I will say, no, I did not try anything recently. And yes, it was a lot of internet researching. I like to call it comparison shopping. Do you work out more with it? Oh, absolutely. And I think that's for a variety of reasons. A, I genuinely enjoy something for the first time ever. Not ever, but for the first time in like 5 or 6 years. And B, when you invest money in something and you don't use it, you're letting yourself down. And I feel a lot of guilt and remorse for that when that happens. So I'm like, I tell myself I have to use it at least 3 times a week. That's my personal goal. I also forgot to mention another amazing feature that the Peloton doesn't have. The Nordictrack has a built-in fan. I've only used it once. I mean, be prepared to sweat. You're gonna sweat it up on this bike. And I keep mine in my basement, which is the coolest place in our house, and I drip sweat. I drip sweat. It's disgusting, but it's very rewarding. And sometimes, if you're really hot or you're having a really difficult time, you can turn that fan on and it will help kind of keep you cool while you're riding. So that's another reason that I went with the Nordictrack. I forgot about that. How much space does it take up? Did you create a dedicated space for it? It takes up as much space as like this IKEA dresser, I would say. It's not beautiful. I wouldn't say like use it to decorate your formal living room or anything like that, but it's also not obnoxious like a weight machine would be, or even a treadmill. I think it's smaller than that. And I I didn't really create a dedicated space for it. We just happened to have the perfect location in our basement. We didn't really have to move anything around, and I will show you what that looks like. Have you liked the variety of classes, and did you have to buy special shoes? No to special shoes, which I'm very grateful for, and yes, I've loved the variety of classes. What parts of the bike are removable? I don't really know what you mean by that, but you can remove the seat. Maybe you mean like you can put your own thing on. You can remove the seat. You could remove the screen if you wanted to. That's pretty easy to do. And you could change the pedals if you wanted, but everything else is pretty much there. Do you do more 20-minute workouts 5 days a week, 45 minutes 3 days a week, or anything like that? It depends. I would say I don't do anything less than 30 minutes. I don't know why, but all the classes I pick are between 30 and 45 minutes. They do have some really long rides that I just feel in no way ready for. Maybe someday, but probably not. But yeah, I do more of like the 30 to 45 minute rides. I have a Peloton, but overall, just how often do you ride? What's your routine? At least 3 times a week. How many different workouts are there? Are they all cycling? Too many to count, and no, not all cycling. You can pretty much do any kind of workout that you want. My friend's husband said, I'm just sad we can't do a group ride together. Me too, Kenny. But they have a Peloton and I have a Nordictrack. Did you try a Peloton to compare? If you didn't mind spending the money, would you have splurged or no? Even if I had all the money in the world, I still wouldn't have felt comfortable with the Peloton because I feel like there were just so many additional add-on charges. It was the monthly charge for the classes. It was the shoes that I had to buy. It was like just all these things I just felt like added up. And when I got mine, I could wear my regular New Balance tennis shoes, and I got 2 free years of iFit classes, and I'm happy with that. I wouldn't change anything. The bike is also at least $1,000 cheaper. At least $1,000 cheaper than the Peloton. I'm sorry if you have one. I hope you love it. I've heard great things. Like, I do know multiple people in my life who have one and they love it. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for my budget. It wasn't for my lifestyle. It just seemed a little too intense. And then the last one, my friend Margaret said, not a question, but a life hack. If you don't want to spend the money on a really expensive spin bike like this or the Peloton, you can buy a spin bike from Amazon that doesn't have all of the additional features or the LED screen or anything like that. And you can use your iPad and follow along classes. Either on the iFit app or on the Peloton app. So that's a fun little hack for you if you don't, like maybe if you do want to move your body but you're just not ready to pull the trigger yet, that's an option as well. I think that's everything. If I'm missing something or if I think of it, I'll try to leave it in a tagged comment below. You can always reach out to us on Instagram at Our Time of the Month, or you can leave any questions or comments in a comment below and I'll try to get back to you about it. It's been good for me. It's been good for me to move my body. It's definitely helped with my mental health. I can tell a shift in my attitude when too long of a period goes by and I've not exercised. And I feel like I still go, like, try to go for walks and stuff like that and lift weights occasionally, but there's something about leaving everything on my bike. I don't know, it's very cathartic and kind of therapeutic in a way. It can feel very healing, I guess, is a good way to put it. So I hope this was helpful, at least to somebody. If you have any questions, like I said, please leave it in a comment below or hit us up on Instagram at Our Time of the Month. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, like I said, I'll leave it below. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say, like what I work out in, not that anybody asked, less clothing. The less, the better, because like I said, it's sweaty. I don't even wear a shirt anymore. I just wear a sports bra because it was like, why do 2 pieces of laundry when you can only do 1, you know? And I'm in my basement and nobody has to see me and it's freaking fantastic. I think that is like my favorite thing, that I can work out and I can grunt and I can like physically feel like I can't do 1 more pedal and I can look awful while I do it and nobody sees me. It's wonderful. I love it so much. So yeah, like a sports bra, a pair of shorts, or a pair of leggings. Okay, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was a little bit helpful and informative. And we, Caitlin and I, will see you soon. Bye.